Today is our sixth class, and we're going to leave for this week our discussion about the 8 steps of self-control of Raja Yoga. We're going to talk about the object of concentration, what we can focus on in the meditation itself. Let me explain a little bit the philosophy behind this meditation process. The idea is that all of creation has come from one source. There is one universal consciousness which has manifested itself as all people, all animals, all plants, all planets, stars, everything that exists. And that in this way we are projections. Each of us is a projection of this consciousness. We are this consciousness, this divine consciousness, this God's consciousness in manifestation. And that we have been in a process of evolution. Creation started out with minerals, and then we had cells, and then we had plants, and then we had animals, and after millions of years we have human beings. And that was the incoming of spirit into matter. With the creation of the human being, we now begin the process of spirit returning to its own nature, that is, in physical form. You see, the idea that spirit is perfect, it is divine, but it's in its being, but not in its expression. So we are perfect in our being, but we are not perfect in our expression. We are evolving in our ability to express our innate divinity. This is called theosis. And this, although it's a concept which has pretty much been lost from Christianity, it's a basic Christian concept. The concept that man is born to become divine. And so we are now in the process of returning, and this is the meaning of religion. Religion means it comes from 2 Latin words, which means again, ligere, which means to connect. So religion is that which reconnects. It doesn't just connect, it reconnects, which means that we were once in that state. And so we're returning to that state. So meditation is a process of going back to that source, of allowing our consciousness to free itself from being so totally engaged in the external world and in our mundane interests, and being able to experience, even for a few seconds, what we call the Absolute. Even for a few seconds, this state of peace, or this state of connection with something higher, beyond our conscious mind. Now, we've given you a diagram here. I don't know if you can get that on the camera. And that is called the expression of the Absolute. So we see here the way the Absolute manifests itself to our senses. This has to do with our senses. So the Absolute begins its creative process through what is called the Word. In the first sentences of the Gospel of St. John, it says, "In the beginning was the Word, and through the Word all things and beings were made. And nothing was made, nothing was created that was not created through the Word." Okay? So in the beginning we have the Word. The Word is a vibration. It's the vibration without a cause. All other vibrations in the universe have a cause. Something happens which creates that vibration. This is the Logos in Greek. And this is the vibration which has no cause as we know it. It's the divine vibration. And that vibration becomes perceptible to our senses in many ways, but in 2 main ways: sound and light. It also is perceptible to our skin, to our taste, and to our smell. But these senses are less conducive towards connecting with the divine. But one can. In Tantra Yoga, even the taste, even the senses, even the smells are used as ways to connect. But most of us will use our eyes and our ears. Okay? So the light expresses itself first of all as white light, and then that becomes the colors. All colors are included in white light. And that creates the various forms which we have. Okay? Now sound becomes what is called the original sound by the Indians is Om. But you see, you have this in all religions. It's Amen or Amin or Om. Even the Muslims, even the Christians, everyone has this word which they use, a sound, which is a vowel like O or A, and the And even in the Greek liturgy, you have the man who keeps the Isos, this and everyone chants in harmony with that. So this is considered the basic sound, the logos. That breaks up into the various syllables. The syllables then become words and phrases. And so we have, to our access, forms and phrases. We have things that we see, and we have ideas. We have sounds. Okay. So this offers to us 4 possible paths back to the Absolute. But before we discuss those 4 paths, look at the second page that we have given you, the universal causal body. Keeping you on your toes today. Okay, so here we have in the center a light. This is what we call the universal source, the universal light source, the cause of all creation. Around that, we have this like film, like a spherical film, in which are imprinted the causal bodies of all things and beings. It is the causal body of humans, the causal body of fish, the causal body of animals, plants. And the light going through those causal bodies creates on the screen of life the various beings that we see and gives the impression that we are all separate from each other and that we are all separate from the source, that we are separate from God, separate from nature, and separate from people. And this is the basic illusion which creates all of our problems. This identifying with this image here, which is just the reflection on the screen, or the projection, on the screen, and not identifying with the source, which is the reality behind that projection. So our interest here is, as a human, how can I reconnect to the source of my being? How can I go in through the causal body and arrive at the source of my being, which is the source of all beings? All beings have the same source, the same creative center. And so that's why in the process of spiritual evolution, we begin to feel more unity with other people, more unity with nature, more unity with the divine. And this is why we start having access to what other people are thinking and feeling, because we, as we come in contact with our source, become in contact with their source, and have available to us information about their feelings, their life, their beliefs. Okay? So the question is, how can we move back towards the source of our being and the source of all beings? So we need to choose, and so the next reality which comes out of this is that anything that I see is a manifestation of the divine. Even this paper, if I focus on it deeply enough, this paper, I will realize it's made of molecules. And if I focus on those molecules, I will realize that it's made of atoms, and that the atoms are made of subatomic particles, and that the subatomic particles are nothing more than condensed energy. That matter is just condensed energy, and energy can become matter, and matter can become energy. And if I focus on that energy, I will realize that this is simply condensed consciousness. See, science has come to the realization that matter is condensed energy, but it has not come to the realization yet that energy is condensed consciousness. So this paper is nothing other than the divine, as is any plant, any human, anything that I can see. There's nothing that I can see whose source, or which source is not the divine, and which is not the absolute. So theoretically, by concentrating on anything, I can return to the source, if I can increase my concentration enough. Now the problem here is that I have to choose an object of concentration which serves two purposes. On the one hand, it has to be interesting enough to me to hold my attention, and on the other hand, it has to easily connect me, because I may not be inspired to see the divine in this piece of paper or in a bottle of beer. It's there, but it may not be so easy to me. It may be much easier for me to see the divine through an image of Christ, or through the sunset, or through a beautiful plant, you see. So we have to choose an object which on the one hand is inspiring to us and allows us to feel or connect with the divine by focusing on that, but on the other hand keeps our attention. Now, for example, the highest expression of the divine would be nothing, because you can't limit the divine to some image. The highest would be the void. But how long can you focus on the void? For example, if you're watching television and there's a movie going on which has a lot of emotions, may have sex, may have violence, may have love story, you don't have any trouble concentrating. This is, oh, I have to concentrate here. Your mind doesn't go to other things. You become totally absorbed because it is addressing itself to the lower centers. If on television it changes and it's a symphony orchestra, okay, you may be engaged for a certain period of time, but your mind could wander. If it's a blank screen and there's nothing showing on the screen, how long are you going to watch it? How long can you be interested? You see? So what we need to combine in the choice of an object of concentration is that which on the one hand holds our concentration, but on the other hand enables us to sense the presence of the divine or of something higher through that. And so there are 4 paths on this paper which calls the expression of the divine, and there are also other possibilities except for these 4 paths, but we're going to start out with these 4 paths. So we have the first path is what we call sound with form. Okay? So what would be a sound with form? That would be the repeating of some prayer. So after I do my alternate breathing, after I check my body, after I fill my body with light and have the light around me, we are now ready to go on to the next step in meditation, which is to focus on what I want to focus on. Now we could simply keep focusing on the light. That is an object of meditation. But if it doesn't satisfy us, then we can move now to focusing on some kind of name or prayer or invocation. Now, for Christians, the most basic prayer for meditation is, Lord Jesus Christ, have mercy on me. This has been given to monks for thousands of years, and it's been used by millions of people to go into a state of meditation. It's a prayer, it's a short prayer, which one can repeat over and over again. So we've established ourselves in the light, and we begin repeating this prayer, Lord Jesus Christ, have mercy on me. Now, as this prayer increases, it's totally possible that we might just focus on the essence of the prayer, which is communication with Christ. Or just might just remain as Christ, or as mercy, or just selecting one aspect of this prayer. Because the less the words, the higher the level of consciousness. The more the words, the more I'm into thoughts, you know. Lord Jesus Christ, have mercy. There's a verb, there's an object, there's a subject. It's a process. But that movement from many words to one word should never be done consciously or technically. It should just happen by itself if it happens. So if I'm repeating the prayer, there's nothing wrong with repeating the prayer this way fully for 20, 30, 40, 50 years. But if at some point that brings me simply to focusing on the Christ as a consciousness, as an omnipresent energy within and around me, then that's perfectly okay. So one possibility is choosing some kind of prayer or some name of the divine. So if I'm a Christian, I'll choose Christ. If I'm a Hindu, I might choose Krishna or Rama or some other name. So you can see yoga has nothing to do with religion. It allows each person in his own religious context, it enables him to focus on his ideal, on his window to the divine. Okay? Now, the second possible path would be the sound without form. Now, the basic sound without form would be the Om. That is, it's a sound which is given by the yogis for thousands of years, which does not represent some form of the divine, but represents the unmanifest. So taking any syllable, such as Om, or perhaps taking some value, spiritual quality, as love, focusing on the word love, focusing on the word peace. So the whole idea here is that you become the contents of your mind. So if you're able to have in your mind the word love and the sense of love, even for 1 minute, that is a very powerful experience. It's an extremely powerful experience which can transform the nature of the mind. So the path, the non-devotional path of sound is focusing on some spiritual quality, some words such as peace or love or justice or truth, whatever I want to develop at that period of time in my life. Okay? And that will put me in touch with the divine. All spiritual qualities are manifestations of the divine. These are qualities which connect us with our divine nature. So that's two paths: sound, the devotional path of sound, and the non-devotional path of sound. Then we have the devotional path of light, of form. So in this we would imagine Christ. We would bring to our minds an image of Christ, or if we're a Hindu, the image of Krishna, or if we've been initiated by some teacher, the image of that teacher. So we as Christians, if you want to follow, as most people as Christians, if you want to follow the path of devotional form, you would just bring the image of Christ and focus on this and feel a connectedness to this. Now again, if this, in concentrating on Christ, the nature of the Christ changes, that's okay. Because as we focus on something, we energize it. So if we focus on ice and we energize it, it becomes water. And if we focus on water and we energize it, it becomes steam. It's still the same thing. So if we're focusing on Christ as a form and it becomes a light and becomes a consciousness, we haven't lost Christ. We're just experiencing the same reality from another level of consciousness. So rather than experiencing the Christ as a form, as a body, we begin to experience Him as an energy, as a consciousness, which is more omnipresent. So this would be the path, the devotional path of form, choosing a form and concentrating on that. And then we have the non-devotional path of light, which is actually what we have been doing for the last 3 or 4 weeks, and that is just by focusing on the light without bringing any form into the situation, and letting this light fill our being and surround our being, and just experience ourselves full of light and in the light. And at some point, we can allow the light which is outside of us to merge with the light which is inside of us, so that the boundaries of our body and mind dissolve. And so we can experience ourselves as energy or as light or as consciousness and not so much as a body which has light in it or light around it. So the whole purpose of this is the dissolution of the sense of separateness, the sense of individuality. Of course, that's scary for a lot of people because we don't know what will happen if we lose our boundaries. We feel safe in those known boundaries of our being. But at some point, our evolutionary process requires this. One should approach it very slowly. So one possibility, this fourth possibility, is doing exactly what we've been doing for the last weeks and just staying in that light and not doing anything else. So as of today, you have these four possibilities. First of all, look at your paper again, the expression of the Absolute. I have written the 7 steps here of our meditation as we go on from here. We start by focusing on our breathing. Then we begin to do our alternate breathing, focusing on inhaling into the solar plexus, holding in the heart center, exhaling as the energy passes up through the neck, and holding in the forehead. We do square breathing, and so that each of these acts of breathing is approximately the same duration. Once we've done this, we go in to make our prayer or our invocation. Then we check the body, we scan and relax. Then we move the light from the forehead throughout the body and around it. And then 6 is a new part of the meditation that we're adding this week. We focus on the chosen object of meditation and experience it on more and more essential levels. Now, please do not move from one level to the other consciously or intellectually, which is, now I'm going to stop focusing on Christ as a form or as a name, and I'm going to focus him on his light. No, this should happen by itself. If it happens by itself, you don't have to feel that you have to go back to the form or to the name. But don't try to do it intellectually, consciously. If it happens, it's fine, and just be comfortable with it and allow it to happen. And the 7th possibility is that we would just come to a state of unity and experience silence, and there's really no need to do anything. This is approaching what we call the state of samadhi, in which the meditator and the act of meditation dissolve, and the only thing that remains is the object of meditation. So our separateness from what we are focusing on dissolves. So this is the 7th stage here. Is actually another form of meditation also. Some people just don't focus on any of these 4 things. Just focus on the void. And this is a possibility. Or they focus on consciousness itself. That is, we watch our consciousness. This is a technique given by Ramana Maharshi, who you start with the question, who am I, or what am I? You observe the mind, and you realize that you cannot be anything that you can see. So if I can see my thoughts, I cannot be them. So I am not them. So I'm still looking for what I am. And this causes your mind gradually to short-circuit in a certain way, because it can't find itself. And you come to this silence, because anything that you can see, you cannot be. So you begin to realize that you are something beyond the mind, beyond your observations, beyond everything. Yeah? This is called neti, not this, not this. I am not this, I am not this. Because I cannot be what I can see. Because in order to see something, I have to be something other than that in order to be able to see it. My eyes cannot see my eyes. I can observe my eyes as a consciousness. So my consciousness is separate from my eyes. It exists separately from my eyes. You see. So it's this process of going back. But I would not suggest that you start out with this process. I would suggest that you start out with one of these 4 possibilities. Now, as always, the mind is going to go away. Okay? It's going to go back to its problems, to its daily concern, its fears, its need to control everything around us. And so we have to be very patient and loving with the mind. Understand that this is the way it's learned to function for thousands of years. It's not easy for it to stop thinking. It's learned to do this. It's a machine that has learned to think, learned to control, learned to organize, to program. So every time it goes away, with very much patience and love, we will bring it back and say, okay, no, we're going to focus on this. We're with this now for this 20 minutes. It'll go away again. Just bring it back. Even if you can do it for seconds, it's an achievement. It's fine. Okay? So don't be concerned. And one thing, being attached to results in meditation is no different than being attached to results in material life. It's a problem. It's a trap. Okay? So just as I'm attached to how much money I'm going to make, or attached to what people think about me, or attached to my clothing or my furniture, being attached to the results of meditation is also a problem. So we do it and we let the results be what they're going to be. We don't get frustrated, we don't give it up, we don't get angry with ourselves. We just do it and without attachment to the results. Okay? So, before we have any questions, let us do the meditation in this way. As I'm preparing here, think of what you would like to focus on today when we get to that point. You want to focus on Christ, you want to focus on light, you want to focus on love, you want to focus on anything you choose, okay? After we go through the first 5 steps of what we're going to do today. So you can take your positions. You're going to focus on the candle now. You can experiment for the first month, okay? And then eventually, after about a month or so, if you're doing it daily, try to decide on what you're going to do. Okay. You can begin by just focusing on your breath and breathing more slowly, more deeply. We can begin with the alternate nostril breathing, using the right hand. slowly, deeply, changing the nostrils. Counting to yourself slowly as you move the energy from the solar plexus to the heart, through the neck to the forehead. Continue alternating the breathing, counting, and moving the energy through the centers. You can allow your alternate breathing to come to a completion. And just allow your mind to focus on the divine and express any prayer, invocation, anything which is important for you to communicate to the divine. body. Be sure that it is sitting straight. Allow the legs to be relaxed, comfortable. Allow the abdomen to be relaxed. Allow the solar plexus to relax. Now feel your shoulders. Allow them to come back and to relax. Your neck is straight and relaxed. And feel the muscles of your face. Allow the jaw to be relaxed. And the tongue. Allow your cheeks to relax. And your eyes. Allow your eyes to relax. And focus on your forehead. Feeling a relaxation and an opening in your forehead. Become aware of the light, the divine light in your forehead. Allow it to increase and to expand. Filling the cranium. Permeating into the brain, bringing peace to the brain and all the central nervous system. Allow the light to flow through your body, into your face, relaxing. Into your neck, relaxing. Into the shoulders. Into the arms. Allow the light to focus in your heart center. And to fill your chest area. that all the body is filled with the sensation of light, from the soles of the feet to the top of the head. If there are parts of your body which are resisting, allow them to relax, to open up and receive the light. Allow the light to expand and to surround the body. Allow the light around the body to unite with the light within. Experience yourself as energy, as light, as consciousness. Now you can begin to focus on your chosen ideal object of consciousness, concentration, and just be with that comfortably, focusing on what you choose. And every time your mind moves away, with patience and love, bring your mind back to that point. you're focusing on me now. Do you have any questions or something you want to share with us about this meditation that we did now? The question is about the object of consciousness. Everything is okay? No problems? Okay. So if you don't, we'll close the